just trusting yourself and like you said, betting on yourself, having the courage just to keep going and just to keep evolving ourselves and allowing our businesses to grow as we grow.
I had certain fears when I started, and then I think having the courage to just say, I have this fear and I'm still going to choose to live courageously. I'm going to choose to do this thing anyway was important. And then that continues to happen as you get to the next level and you try out new ground.
If you don't have your own dream or vision and you're not living into that, then you end up, low energy, you end up missing out on all the things that truly mean for you, and you get sucked into this system that just wants to keep you where you are and not allow you to shine and be who you are.
When I was making a decision, I didn't want to regret trying, but I knew if I didn't try, I would regret that more. You know what I mean? So like when those forks in the road would happen, I'd be like, okay, which road am I going to take?
Soul-aligned business is when you're truly able to, first of all, expand yourself, and it always begins inside out. It's a progression towards what do you fully believe in, and then bringing that out to the world.
Hey everyone, it's Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive into today's discussion. You may have been watching our videos, but have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button. So if you have gained value from our conversations, from our channel, it would be so appreciated for us if you would hit that subscribe button below right now and even give us a like. What that means is not only does it allow us to grow our subscriber base, but it also allows us to bring in even more guests for you to listen to. And you will be one of the first ones to be notified. So please hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's wonderful panel discussion. Welcome to today's wonderful Inspire and Empower Conversations that Transform panel discussions. My name's Sophia Soul, and I have the honor of co-creating Sacred You, and also facilitating a wonderful topic today all about your business, how we can ignite our business and empower our future, power your future. And with me today, we have some amazing guests. So let me introduce you to everyone, or can I ask, Claire, would you like to say hello? Tell us a little bit about yourself and what interests you in this topic.
Hi, I'm coming from San Diego, California. My profession was as an attorney, and I previously owned a law firm, which I actually ended up selling. And I've had a few different businesses, all kinds of different things like a berry farm, but primarily the law firm. And now my business is speaking and healing transformational journey work. And I have a podcast about recovering from religious trauma for women.
Thank you. Looking forward to hearing more about that too. So thank you so much for joining us, especially for your first time. And our beautiful, wonderful Catherine, you're next on my list. So would you like to say hello and tell us why are you here?
I'm Catherine. I'm a leadership coach, intuitive healer, a podcaster, and author and speaker. And I focus on empowering mothers to reclaim their voice in their family, in their business, and in their health through self-leadership. And at the moment, the focus is by owning their courageous no, because so often as mums, we say yes to everything and we forget to say no. And definitely igniting that transformation within you by reclaiming your power is just so important. And so often we don't talk about how society and cultural beliefs shape that, and that we don't actually realize those beliefs are playing on our systems before we actually get there. So that is why I'm here today. Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining us. Leisa, would you like to say hello and tell us a little bit about yourself and what interests you in today's topic?
Thank you for having me, Sophia. And I'm already feeling the connection of all of us here today. And I have to point out, Catherine's third eye getting shined up like a diamond is pretty cool. My name's Leisa REID, and I'm the founder of Get Speaking Gigs Now and the CEO of the International Speaker Network. And I work with business owners who deeply desire to use public speaking as a way to make a bigger impact, attract more clients, generate different types of revenue, move from one to many. And I help them by creating their signature talk and figuring out their customized speaking strategies so they can be booked for the rest of their career. I typically book all my speaking engagements without cold calling, and I like to teach my clients the same way so they're not wasting their time doing soul-sucking activities. And what interests me is just your vibe, Sophia, and having a soul-led conversation and mixing that with business. That sounds like a fun time to me. So I'm just excited to be here.
Thank you. We're also excited for you to be here and for Claire and for Catherine. So I think it's going to be a wonderful discussion. So let's get started on having a discussion about how we can empower our future with our businesses. And I'd love to know from everyone, and we'll start with Claire, because if that's okay, Claire, I know this is your first time, but you're up first on my screen. So Claire, I'd love to know with you, what does being the heart of your work, let's begin with the heart of your work. What does it truly mean to you to build a soul-aligned business?
Yeah, I love that we're talking about this. I think the world needs a ton more of that. I have the personal belief that each of us is here for a particular purpose, that it's not just some accident. And so I think that business is an incredible vehicle for us to do our work in the way that feels most appropriate to us. A lot of times when we're having a job in a more traditional setting, we get put into a certain box that might not actually fit what is most aligned with our soul. And so when we can just have a totally blank canvas and say, I'm going to put my work out there, I'm going to interact with people on my own terms, it's just an incredible opportunity.
Good. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And for you, Catherine, what about you? What does it really mean to build a soul-aligned business? Because I know that is something that you especially help other women to do. So for you, what does that mean?
Yeah, very similarly to Claire, like we all have our sole purpose and our mission. And from building two very successful businesses that didn't fulfill me, that didn't light my soul up, it ended up in burnout. So if you're not truly aligned with what you're sharing in the world and it doesn't bring you that joy and that passion, you end up in burnout, you end up frustrated, you end up missing out on those beautiful things, especially as a mum. You end up missing out on all those milestones with your children because you're constantly working someone else's dream. So if you don't have your own dream or vision and you're not living into that, then you end up low energy, you end up missing out on all the things that truly mean for you, and you get sucked into this system that just wants to keep you where you are and not allow you to shine and be who you are. So this is why I'm so passionate about soul aligned businesses, because everyone has a unique story. Everyone has something special they need to share in this world. That is why we're here. And sometimes it's just connecting with the right people to see that in you and help you bring it out. And the more we do that with other people, the more we can create this new, beautiful energy in this world where we're empowering and lifting other people up rather than pushing them down and making them think that they have to work a 9 to 5 in terms that don't suit them at all.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And it's so very true. So that we don't have to work that 9 to 5, what really connects us, what lights us up. Thank you for sharing that. And Leisa, what about you? Do you have anything else that you would like to share for you personally in building a soul-aligned business for you and for other women?
Yeah, I could relate to both Claire and Catherine about, I mean, I've tried other businesses and they didn't quite align. It was like I call it the silver medal effect, where this is pretty good, but it's not quite gold, but it's still good. This, I got to be grateful. So I can really relate to that. And I would say when I created this business, it was organically built. And it was, once I said yes, because I kept getting all these hints to help speakers and people would ask me to help them. And I was pushing that away for a long time. And when I finally said yes, it all just like totally downloaded for me. And then that translates to when I help my clients, because they are pouring out their soul as speakers. I'm helping them capture their own brilliance and share the brilliance. And I would say, if you're not in love with your talk, or you're not in love with what you're saying on stage, or you're not aligned with your soul on stage, it's going to translate to other people. They're going to feel some kind of weird resistance around it. So being divinely connected, being aligned for myself, and then passing that on to my clients helps them attract their ideal clients too. So it's a whole reverberation effect that is really powerful.
Thank you. Thank you. Definitely want to know more about that too as we go on. And would you like to continue? So I'd love to know for you, in your experience, what was the biggest fear or uncertainty that you had before starting your business, and how did you overcome it?
I think my biggest fear for this iteration was actually going out on my own officially. I took my time. I've had different, like I said, I've had different businesses that I was out on my own, and then they didn't really work out. So when it came to this one, I was like, I'm just gonna take my time. And I was working for another company that I really loved. I really loved my job. So that made it a little easier for me to not take that leap. But it did finally become clear, okay, I'm actually hurting my own business and holding back my own success by my allegiance to another organization. And when that started to be painfully clear is when I had a conversation with, I call it, we consciously uncoupled, because, okay, it's now time for me to have to get that other trapeze. I need to let go of this one trapeze. And I was scared, but to be fair, I always out earned my previous employment and doubled and tripled over time. Yeah, thank you for that, Claire. And so I was like, oh yeah, okay, I can do this. Betting on myself, I think, was one of the scariest things you could do.
It is so true, just trusting yourself and like you said, betting on yourself. And I love it how you talk about consciously uncoupling. So thank you for that. And Claire, what about you? Do you have anything to share about any fears that you've overcome? And was there a moment when everything felt uncertain? And what helped you to keep going?
Yeah, I feel like to be totally transparent, I think that's an ongoing experience. I had certain fears when I started, and then I think having the courage to just say, I have this fear and I'm still going to choose to live courageously. I'm going to choose to do this thing anyway was important. And then that continues to happen as you get to the next level and you try out new ground. But a lot of my initial fears really came from the fact that I was raised in a very conservative religion where I was taught that as a woman, I was basically just a helpmate to men. I was going to be a sidekick. I was never expected to have a job or anything like that, really to impact the world in any way. So when I first started just being like, I think I'm going to be a person. So how about that? It just felt very like existentially terrifying. And then it was like I just did things and beat that down over time. And there were also a lot of teachings about how money is evil in that particular religious background. So the idea that I would put a price on my labor, that I would ask someone for an exchange of energy for my work was really hard. And really, I think that there was no way to get through it other than to have people I knew who were wise and could be like, you can do it. And then also just to take each step and jump in.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. And can I just take a moment to honor everyone here, but especially you, Claire, for sharing that and for breaking away, if I can use that word, from those constraints to being the woman you are, to stepping into your purpose. So thank you so much for sharing that.
Thank you.
And Catherine, I know, because I know a little bit about you, you've gone from six-figure businesses and continuing to help others with those businesses once you've sold them and working for them, to now being totally an entrepreneur, solopreneur. How did you transition to all that? What reshaped your relationship with your work, your worth, and your success?
Yeah, it's so interesting because I had built two very successful businesses that I thought this will be easy. Going into coaching and intuitive work, everyone will just manifest and attract to me. Let me just say it doesn't work that way. And when I sold my most recent business and I stayed on to work for them, I actually subconsciously didn't believe I actually deserved any of the money. Bit like those money stories that Claire was touching upon. And we pushed all the money away. So then we were living paycheck to paycheck, and I had to really face my worth. And it was only once I actually invested in myself. Sounds so weird. I used the last of my savings to invest in a coach to get me where I needed to be. but it was just shining the light back on me because we can't do this alone. And I think that's a big thing that I've learned, even as a solopreneur. You still need a beautiful dream team, a beautiful support network around you that you can talk to. And this light's just going in my face. It's so funny. But as you step more into believing in yourself, exactly what Claire touched upon, you have to show up courageously. And this is a thing, like, if you want to grow your business, if you want to grow your soul, if you want to keep evolving, you have to have this courage to keep taking risks every day, even though you might feel petrified. You might be like, oh my gosh, what do people think of me? And if you're like new to the spiritual world too, and unpacking that at the same time, your woo, it's about owning your woo. And most of us have these witch wounds, which has kept us hidden, and we feel really scared about being seen and being heard. And that's part of why I started my podcast, was I had to blow open my throat chakra, and I was like, no, I'm going to be heard and seen in this world, and this is the quickest way I can see to do it. And then it evolved to something very cool. But at the same time, when you are stepping into a solar line business, you find the fuel to keep going. Yes, you might stumble. You might, like Leisa shared, she had the silver medal businesses. They weren't quite there, but that's part of the exploration, right? That's part of you finding your footing and finding what really aligns with you to step you towards this vision and this dream, because we're not meant to have this perfect plan of how it works out. It's about having that courage to keep trying new things. And if you fail, giving yourself permission to fail forward. Okay, that didn't work. Why didn't that work? I'm going to take that and I'm going to move forward with that and learn from that so I can keep evolving and see that actually that didn't align for me. I'm not going to do that. So for me, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to be a medical intuitive. Yeah, didn't want to do that after and I was really good at it, working with my clients and getting big shifts. But at the same time, this isn't what I want to be doing. This is part of what I do, but it's not solely what I do. This is where exploring those things can be really powerful too. So don't feel that because you've set up yourself to be one way, like whatever identity or like label you put on yourself, that's fixed. We're evolving humans. We can keep evolving, and it's having the courage to show up and do that.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's definitely very true. Having the courage just to keep going and just to keep evolving ourselves and allowing our businesses to grow as we grow. So thank you for sharing that. Leisa, I'd love to know from you personally in your whole experience, because you've had so much experience in speaking on stage and everything. But for you, have you experienced any major failures in your businesses, and what actions really helped you recover from that?
Yeah, I think one of the biggest failures wasn't this business. It was a different business that I had probably 20 years ago. And we went into it totally bravely, like not knowing anything about the industry. And we built up with this, it was a day spa. And I don't know if I would say it's the whole business is a failure. We learned a lot. What can I say? We learned a lot. And I think one of my regrets possibly is like, it was that silver medal thing where it's, that sounds fine. And I was willing to make a silver lining out of something that maybe it wasn't my dream. It wasn't my vision. Because it was a day spa, I would run into a lot of people who would say, oh my gosh, I've always wanted to have one. I'm like, I never had that. I was willing to go along with the idea and I put my whole heart and soul into it, but it was never something that I really wanted to do. We luckily sold it in like 2008, which thank goodness that happened. But it just was the ending was a painful process, which I won't go into all those details, but I learned a lot. And I learned that I am not going to get into something that is someone else's dream again. And I could relate to what Catherine said, because I still tried other businesses. It wasn't like I found Get Speaking Gigs Now right after that. It took me many years to discover that. But I was willing to learn. Same thing, was willing to hire coaches to help me, willing to try out different things, willing to just keep. I would say when I was making a decision, I didn't want to regret trying, but I knew if I didn't try, I would regret that more. You know what I mean? So like when those forks in the road would happen, I'd be like, okay, which road am I going to take? And because I ended up working for a university, I was in a really high level position there in executive leadership. And I had this choice. I could go work for a small family owned business that paid me a fraction of what I was making And I decided, you know what, I'm going to do that because I wanted to be home with my daughter more. I wanted more flexibility. And I thought, if I don't do this now, I'm just going to keep doing the same thing again and again. And so I took a big, I know this is like a lot of answers. Like, how many failures do you want me to pick from? But anyway, that choice was working for that personal development company as a speaker. And my first year, I booked 83 speaking engagements just on my own. And I delivered all those and brought in hundreds of clients to that personal development company just that first year. And then I would just continue and rinse and repeat. But I never would have become a speaker if I didn't take that leap of faith. I never would be helping. I wouldn't have created a speaker network without that. I never would have started my own company if I hadn't had success in speaking. So it's just, so when you look back at all the dominoes, you're like, okay, that actually was perfect. That failure was perfect. And yeah, so it's not an easy journey. I don't think for anyone. I don't know. Maybe someone had an easy journey, but I certainly feel like it was a long, winding road.
And I totally agree with you. I think for most people that it is a long, winding road with lots of ups and lots of downs, and lots of bumps. But I love it how you describe even your failures. They're all stepping stones to where you are now, especially if you learn lessons within those failures to make your current passion, your current mission, so much more empowered from those values. So thanks.
I will say, I was on a call yesterday, and one of the women, I was explaining some things that I was doing in business, and she's, oh my gosh, I'm so jealous. I wish you're my hero. And I'm like, oh, this didn't all happen overnight. And I'm not done. I've not arrived. I'm not on the final chapter, but this is years of putting things in place. It doesn't just happen instantly. So just anyone listening, patience with yourself, patience with the process.
And as you said, it is a process and it does take time. Having a very successful business, as we've all had here and all experienced, it's not an overnight thing. It's a lot of work, it's a lot of dedication, and lots of experiences in those ups and downs and those bumps and turns. So thank you for you. And Claire, what about you? I'd love to know from your journey, especially from you, because you've mentioned that you were brought up in a conservative religious setting, and you went on to found a law firm, and now you help others as well as mentor. How did you reclaim yourself, or what part of you took those leaps?
Yeah, it's such a great question. I feel like I do feel like each of us has an internal guidance system, whatever people choose to call that. People use different terminology, but a lot of times that guidance only comes one step at a time. So just like Leisa was saying that she felt the pull to this job for a certain reason and she had no idea all the places it would lead. So often it was just like this step of, I happen to have contact with lawyers in my personal life. And I thought, wow, I didn't know you could be like a professional nerd. That is so the job for me. So I went to law school, and then it was just like each little step, and even different healing modalities I checked out, or different parts of the process, like realizing, oh, I'm going to need to reclaim my sexuality and like ownership of my own body at a deep level. And that's going to look like some clothing optional yoga on the beach here. Come to California, everyone. But each step was like, oh, I think I'm feeling this. And then I would just pursue just that one thing, not knowing where it would lead. And over the years, so many things fell away. And I just started to feel more and more like myself as those conditioned pieces just let go of it. And then you feel so much better. So I would say, just what's your next step? You don't have to know the whole thing.
Yeah, true. One step at a time. That's it. And just honoring that and stepping into it with your passion and things. Talking about honoring, Catherine, I know you're very much into your intuition. You're an intuitive coach. But how do you personally honor your intuition in the middle of practical business decisions like pricing and launches, when, so much we get caught up in our mind? How do you honor your intuition?
It's funny because pricing is one of those things that's really triggering for people, right? What price do I put on myself? And recently I actually put my prices up, and I put them up a bit too much that I wasn't actually comfortable anymore. And I was like, oh, this is a bit too far. And then I just heard, just drop it back a little bit. No one's seen that yet. And I was like, oh, okay. So I dropped it back to halfway between where I put it to. And I sat with it and I felt a lot more comfortable with it. But then this is what the universe does, right? They reflect things back to you, like your doubts. And then my husband, God love him, we're at dinner at lunch and he goes, how much are you charging now? And I told him, is I wouldn't pay that for you. And I was like, oh, what? And I was like, you know what? This is your thing. And this is the thing, like when you have worked on yourself enough, you can intuitively go, actually, this isn't about me. That's their projection onto me. And you can put it back. The thing is with what you charge, it's what you value in yourself and what is the value. If people can see the value that they come, then that's when they're going to pay it. And it was funny because I was talking to my coach about it, which is nice when you have someone to nut this out with. And he's, oh, I've got this exercise for you. So he sends me this exercise. It was from Dr. John DeMartini. And you had to write, some people were like, yeah, we know what that is. You had to write 100 reasons why someone is paying that and the value that they get, and 100 reasons what they're missing out on. And I actually found it incredibly easy to do. And if you're worried about your worth and what you want to charge and that sort of thing, it's such a powerful exercise, because if you can see the transformation you create in people, then that is when you can see your true value. And that is why you're here to share and do what you need to do in the world. But the biggest thing I actually teach people is through strategy, because sometimes it's not that they're listening to their heart, but they can't come to terms with the fact, maybe I need to charge a bit more. Often I tell people, write down a number that you need every week. Not to survive, not this survival spaghetti number where you have to eat spaghetti every day. Actually write what would be a comfortable figure for you to have every week, so you can go, you look after your health, look after your body, go do the yoga on the beach naked if you want to, whatever you need to do. Write down that number and then divide that by how many clients you feel you can see a week. That's what you need to be charging. And the amount of times I've had people do that and go, oh my gosh, I'm so undercharging. I'm like, yeah, you are. Like, you have to see 60 clients a week. That's not feasible. You can't do that. And from someone that was that busy, and I used to work on commission when I first started in speech language pathology, and I was working on commission, I was seeing 60 clients a week, like half-hour sessions with 60 kids a week. It's a lot. It is a lot. And when you're young and excited and you're like, yeah, I can do it. When you're a mum and you're tired and you have to channel your energy and do all these things, you are not going to see 60 clients a week. There is no way. And if you're not getting that, then, this is where you get smart too. And you go, okay, this is the price I want to charge, but how can then I invest that and then have the backing with that too? Because we're not taught that either. And this is the thing, we're not taught how to invest our money and help it grow. And that's the other part of being a business owner, is to see that, yes, I have to keep some money in the business so the business can keep flowing. I need money for me too, but then I also need to invest that money so the money keeps growing, so I can have that freedom and not turn my own business into a 9-to-5 either.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally agree. It's all about valuing ourselves and working out our values. And you mentioned John DeMartini's values elicitation, I think it calls it. So thoroughly recommend that, because writing about everything that you offer is so powerful, and it really allows you to accept what your true value is. So thank you for that. And Leisa, I'd love to know, talking of value, if I can go to you and ask you that many entrepreneurs, many, especially women, they feel torn between pursuing profits and staying true to their values. How have you navigated this?
I look at that. There's a couple of ways that I look at that, because a lot of times, since I'm in the speaking world, people will say, I want to be a paid keynote speaker. And I'm like, okay, let's actually back that out and shift the definition. And we talk about monetizing your speaking, which we could translate that to monetize your business, monetize your coaching, monetize your product, your services, what are you doing? And if we can broaden that definition, then we can start to get more clear. And then the other thing I was going to say about that is, oftentimes when someone's giving their talk, I work with a lot of heart-centered, purpose-driven, spiritually based entrepreneurs, business owners, and it's one of the hardest things to come to terms with, like asking for money, because we just want to give. And then what I say to that is about balance. And it's, if we can almost separate ourselves from our business, it's like when you're, and I'll just speak in speaking terms, for example, say someone's going to give a talk, and they are obviously, in my opinion, if they're in my world, they're already going to give value to the audience. They're going to give. But I say what we want to do is not be out of balance, because when you give too much, guess what doesn't get anything is your business. And if you think of your business as like your baby, Of course you want to give to your baby. And that just makes it a little easier than saying, I selfishly want to sell all this. Alternatively, we've probably all been in rooms where the speaker, it's a take, where it feels like you're just getting sold, also out of balance. So we want to really have it balance both, because otherwise the audience feels something's off, or you will feel that something's off. So there's this like interdynamic relationship. And I'll say, we don't want our receiving muscle to be in atrophy. So we need to pay attention. How can we actively, intentionally, and authentically receive? I had one client who, she was giving so much. She had these 2-day events and everyone loved it. They're like, oh, it's so great. It's so great. And she confessed to me, I can't keep doing this. It's not going to make any money. It's not making me the money I want to make. I won't be able to continue doing it. So I'm like, okay, let's look through everything. She was giving so much. She didn't even give herself time on the agenda to share about her invitation. So it was like 2 minutes about her invitation, and then everyone else got the stage. I'm like, whoa, let's have a deeper conversation about what's going on here. And when she was able to touch down and go, oh, this is where I'm blocked here. And we all work with people in this way. This is where I'm resisting. This is where I'm pushing away. This is where I'm hiding. I can even use that personal story that she found inside herself to give her offer, to give the invitation. She got $18,000 in instant sales after doing that. And it's okay. So we can sell authentically, but if we feel creepy or weird about our offer, the audience is going to feel weird or creepy about our offer, whether the audience is one person on the phone or on a Zoom call or whatever. So I say, you always want to be madly in love with your offer so much that you want to marry it. That's my, you can take that to the bank.
Thank you, and I agree, and I love it. So much madly in love with your offer that you want to marry it, or you consider your business to be your baby, and we give it the love and the care and the intention that it deserves, because so much we don't. It's always doing rather than just coming back and just stopping for a moment and caring or nurturing what we're offering.
Yeah. Yeah. And I always think of as your services, your offers, your programs, as your children too. Women can relate to that more than, not that men can relate to that. Certainly that would be more of a maternal automatic feeling.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And Claire, for you personally, and I know for Catherine and for Leisa too, but especially for you with what you've gone through as you're growing up and everything, how do you see the beliefs that women internalize about womanhood, everything that is put on us, whether it is a religious or a cultural thing or even spiritual? So Claire, I'd love to know from your experience, because you've had so much experience with the religious upbringing, and even if you talk about spiritual and cultural upbringing, how do you see when women internalize beliefs about womanhood that are put on us, how do you see that still impacting women in business today? And do you have any tips or techniques that we can overcome them?
Yeah, I see a ton of commonalities in what women are taught. I originally thought, yeah, I had a super weird childhood and that was just like a one-off thing. And then I kept running into other women who it was like, oh my gosh, are we all doing this all over the world? We need to talk about this. And there are certain themes that seem to be very common, like not believing that you have intrinsic value as a person, that you have to earn that by the work that you do, by being useful, by being productive. Also, just the idea that there's one ideal way to be a woman, that this is the ideal woman in a box. And yet, of course, we're such a diverse group. So just the repression of your individuality in certain ways and your full self-expression. What I think Leisa was talking about that earlier, and Catherine, just like busting out your throat chakra for sure. So I don't have the full solution for that, but I'll tell you that one of the ways that I'm working in that area, because it's meant so much to me, is that when I became a lawyer and I went through the training of law school, I learned it's like a lot of refined critical thinking. And a lot of these ideas are never directly examined. So it's like you've been hearing in your head over and over again, you should be sweet and quiet, or submit to your husband, or things like that. And you never just looked it in the face and went like, why did this start? Does this make sense to me? Do I accept or reject this? And in my podcast, I actually look at, for each episode, it's one particular rule that women have that people tell me that they run into, that I experience, that other people experience, that's in their head, even when they don't want it to be. And then we just look at what are the other unstated motivations for why this could come about, like free labor or just social order or things like that. And then look at what are some beliefs that could replace that? How can we make that more expansive? How can we decide how we really want to live? And I think that examination has been really an important thing for me, although I think there are a ton of different ways to approach it. And a lot of people on here today are talking about some of those ways.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. It's really amazing in what we can do when we just step into ourselves and regain our true feminine power. So thank you for sharing that. And I'd love to welcome to our conversation. Thank you so much for joining us. I do want to get to know a little bit about you more as we finish up. But just to start with, tell us what it truly means for you, Kanika, to build a soul-aligned business. And in that, maybe tell us a little bit about your business.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. So for me, a soul-aligned business is when you're truly able to, first of all, expand yourself, and it always begins inside out. It's a progression towards what do you fully believe in, a lot like what Claire was mentioning as well, and then bringing that out to the world. And the process of doing that, there are lots of inner beliefs that you conquer for yourself, and then you bring that forward for your clients. I think everybody begins their own journey in a different way. And I'm sure all these lovely women as well, they're bringing up their gifts, but they've also been through that journey themselves because something got us there. So I help my clients have a lot more money, a lot more visibility, a lot more meaning. For me, it's meant that personally, I've had that journey with money, expanding it, especially as a spiritual business owner, and then visibility, being visible the same way as I'm inside, being visible the same way outside, meaning that showing up on social media, being really vulnerable there. And then around the meaning, that how much meaning, what is the legacy that I want to leave, and helping my clients see that value as well.
Thank you. Thank you. And talking of value, we were just briefly going back to how we value ourselves. So can we just go on with you before we wrap up? Is how do you balance making a profit with valuing the work that you do?
That's a brilliant question, because for me, I've come from a corporate background, and then I've obviously stepped into a business world. My corporate background, I have climbed money and then I've lost money because of life situations. Then I've climbed money again. Then I came into spiritual business, and it was a whole different ballgame because I was like, I stepped into my calling and I don't have money anymore. What's going on? So I think money for me has become more like a science as I work through it. I have really tried to understand. I have an engineer background, so I've tried to understand the energy of money. And here's what I get, that money values your own self-worth as well. Like when I was doing my corporate business, that was the value that I attached, how much somebody externally was validating to me. So the profits or the salary that I got was based on how much I could see them, but how much I felt I deserved. And money came that way. As I started going out in the spiritual world, trying to serve clients, that time, my first thing, and I think most of healers go through this as I coach other clients as well, that we feel, this is spiritual, this is healing, this comes from a different way. I really want to give and cherish. But till the time you don't serve your own worth, that doesn't flow in that way. I've seen it again and again, that when I do the transformation, that equation is equated with money. So it's your own self-worth. It's not a different thing, the purpose or the profit. It's not a different thing. You follow both, but you follow your purpose, you raise your own self-worth with it, and then you'll be able to equate that with a much higher transformation for your clients. They go hand in hand, they're not separate.
They do, exactly. The self-worth and how much money that we're bringing in, they definitely do go hand in hand. If we don't think we're worth it, we're not going to attract it.
And the clients will not feel that same transformation as well.
Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And I'd love to know if anyone else has anything else that they'd like to share on that. Maybe Catherine, would you like to share anything more about self-worth and attracting clients or attracting profit?
Yeah, 100%. For me personally, when I didn't believe I was worthy of receiving money and keeping money, I actually couldn't attract clients either. And it was when I invested in myself and started believing in my worth and seeing my value that all of a sudden I had 10 clients sign up to a program I'd been trying to get people to sign up for over a year. And so this is where, like, when you shift, yeah, exactly. When you shift that and you shift that belief in yourself, then suddenly you have this new alignment. And even recently, where your focus is as well, where your attention goes, your energy flows. So when you really focus on, all right, I value myself and I want to share these gifts in the world, where are these clients? And actually putting that energy into that, but actively looking to, not just believing they're going to come find you. You actually still have to put yourself out into the world, not just sit there and write your vision boards and things. I can't say that enough. You still have to actively go after your dreams. And when you start to do that, then you start, and being really clear as well on how you want to serve people. So often as beautiful healers, we fall into this savior role where we feel like we need to save people. And instead of empowering them, we're actually enabling them to stay in their victim role and see us as a hero. And I had to shift out of that too, because I'm such a giving person. Everyone's touched on today that, when you give and you don't allow yourself to receive, like Leisa put that beautiful example before, you don't have that balance. And as Claire pointed out, you need an energy exchange. You can't expect to give and not have anything come back. Even if you're doing a free session, ask that person for a testimonial. You're worth it. Let them give you something back in return. So there is that energy exchange. So the more you believe in that value and your worth, the more you'll just start to attract these clients who are aligned. And if you're not, maybe you're not doing in the right exact niche that you're meant to be into. And this is something I had to unpack, because I was like, oh yeah, I'll mentor speech pathology students or people that are new grads. I couldn't get a single client doing that. I'm very good at doing that. I was like, clearly this is not what I'm meant to be doing. I was like, oh, maybe I'll try working on like relationship things. I'm like, nope, didn't get any clients with that. But as soon as I realized, actually, I'm meant to be working with mothers, because long term I want to create this space for children. And then as soon as I did that, these clients started to come and they were aligned with me. So this is where you're not giving up and learning from your failures, but also believing that you're worth it. It's just you haven't found exactly what you're meant to be doing yet. And when you get really clear on that and your message that you're meant to be sharing, that is when you start to resonate more with your worth, your value, and you'll pull in those clients and get more money in your bank account as well. And also wanted to say, we're meant to be naturally abundant. That's our natural state. We're meant to be in abundance. And if you believe that and don't sit in that scarcity mindset of always seeing the bills as a bad thing and always the money going out, and actually start to give gratitude, oh my goodness, I magically had that money appear for that bill in my account. Thank you so much. And giving that gratitude, because that's what's been happening with me. We've had like big shifts in our income and money going out, but we always have this money just magically appear. Like I had to renew my website listing. And I'm like, oh, this money appeared in my account. Thank you very much. And really acknowledging that when you start to step out of that scarcity and more into that abundance and having that gratitude, you'll have more income flowing to you as well.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And it is very true. It really comes down to valuing ourselves. So thank you for sharing that. And Claire, I'd love to know from you, in your experience, if someone came to you today and they're unsure of what step to take forward, someone who is listening, what's one message that you could whisper to them about empowering their future? And then please tell us if you have any offers.
Yeah, I would tell them that they have inside of them what they need for direction. It's just a matter of tapping into that, finding the ways that are easiest to tap into that. For some people, it's going out in nature or doing something that physically feels good, like swimming in water, or there are a bunch of different ways to do that. But if you can find a way that you can listen to yourself and trust your own judgment above everything else, you are the expert on yourself and what you're here to do. You just need to listen to that and then follow it. That's the step one for everyone, I personally believe. In terms of offers, I would just say I'm launching the next season of my podcast on Sunday. What is that, 3 days from now? The website is brainwashbegone.com. It's not up yet. So if you go there now, you're not going to see it. But when it's up, please go listen and join the conversation about all of those things. I'm very passionate about it and I'm looking forward to that. And if there's anyone who just feels energetically like we have some reason to connect, whether it's working together or collaborating on something, or you just feel that pull, follow your intuition, reach out to me. My website is clairecorrado.com. I'd love to hear from you.
No problems. Thank you ever so much. We will be putting all your links below. And I love the name of your podcast, Brainwash Be Gone, because that affects so many women, so many people, but especially women in all different areas, definitely from religious upbringings, but also other experiences that we get brainwashed so much by different beliefs. So thank you so much for sharing that. And I look forward to listening to it when it comes out. Thank you. Brilliant. And Leisa, what about you? What about your beautiful self? I'd love to know for you, especially in your experience, what mistakes do entrepreneurs make in building relationships and businesses that stall their progress?
I think a lot of times people think they need to meet more people and make more connections and get more busy and get more followers and get more likes and all this. And what I have found is that when I go deep rather than I like to say, let's go deep instead of like shallow, we actually get more then, and it's easier. And so like I teach this thing called the speaker soulmate system. Like we do that in the International Speaker Network, where it's find your speaker soulmate. Instead of trying to get all these cold leads and chase after things and put in applications of you never hear back, why not align with other people who are on the similar journey as you? Because the secret is actually when I know I'm in a room full of speakers, I know they all have the keys to the castle. They have keys to castles I have not been in. And they're not going to just throw those keys over to me if they don't know me. But if we get to know each other and we develop trust and we develop rapport and we have an exchange, it doesn't need to be even, Steven, but just we're all here coming to give, which is what we do at the network. All of a sudden, those keys can all just get thrown in the pile, like at a 70s party, although a very different situation. And then people are willing to share and people are willing to collaborate. I know that, say I'm speaking at an event, actually, I'm speaking at an event in Vegas in a couple of weeks. They need a different speaker every month. I will not be the speaker for them every single month, but hopefully the people in my network will be speakers for them every month. So that's how I think of it.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's really, truly believing in yourself and connecting with others, because it's out of those connections, you never know the opportunities that can come. And also, Leisa, in your market, because you really work with speakers, there are so many speaker organizations in today's world. There's so many podcasts, whether it's live on stage, it is flooded with speaking opportunities. How do you overcome self-doubt when you want to introduce something new into this crowded market of speakers?
I don't know if I have self-doubt about that, but in my world, I call that self-doubt speaker's kryptonite. I don't know if I could do it. I need to write more content. I don't want to look stupid. I need to make it perfect. I'm not sure if it's going to work. There's all these kind of doubts that come up, and I can relate to all of those at different times in my life. But I think it's scary to put out something new because, gosh, if it was easy, everyone would do it. If it was easy, everyone would have a book. If it was easy, everyone would be a speaker. If it was easy, everyone would be an entrepreneur. If it was easy, all these things. But at one point, you got to just put your stake in the ground and say, this is what I stand for. And this is what I'm going for. And you can always beta test it. And like what Catherine was saying earlier, you can always change the price. Guess what? No one's really paying attention that closely to your business like you are. They won't even notice. So get over yourself and make a decision and put it out there. Change, evolve, grow, adjust, move on, keep growing, and you can do it.
Thank you. Thank you. And would you like to tell us what you're offering too?
Sure. I have a couple of links that'll be in the notes, but if a quick one, if you're looking to get on more stages and you're like, gosh, I really want to do that, you can get 5 top tips to get more speaking gigs now. And that is at getspeakinggigsnow.com/tips. And if you are interested in applying to our Speakers Training Academy, you can go to getspeakinggigsnow.com/chat. And then the link that I'm not going to share, but will be in the notes, is a free ticket to the International Speaker Network. So you got to go check the notes. If you listen, go check the notes and come and visit for free.
Thank you. Thank you so
You're
much
welcome.
for sharing that. They will definitely be below this video, so thank you. And Catherine, for you, tell us in your experience, how have you overcome, because yes, you are a business coach and there are coaches everywhere. How do you overcome self-doubt when introducing a new idea into this market where has unlimited amount of coaches?
Yeah, this is the thing, right? What makes you unique? And it's your story. And this is where the more you believe in yourself and your worth and your value, the more you don't enter that comparison mindset and go into that doubt. And that's something I've learned through years of running a business. Stop looking at what everyone else is doing and just focus on yourself. Because the more you look at everybody else and get pulled into their world, that's where all your energy is going to go. So your clients are going to go find them instead of you. And the more you get to connect, exactly like Leisa said, on deeper levels with people, they're the clients that you want, because you're seeing how they can transform and how they can become this beautiful shining light of themselves, rather than being stuck in this life that doesn't necessarily light them up or fill their soul, or whatever term resonates with you. And the doubt will always be there. But it's about learning when it comes up to make friends with it, so that when the doubt shows up, you're like, all right, I understand, but I'm going to be courageous and do it anyway. And this is where, like, getting to know yourself so well, and this is part of, like, we talk about healing and all those sorts of things. Healing is just about getting to know yourself so well that you can show up and realize that you're whole, even if you're showing up at 100% at your 10% or 100% at your 50% or 100% at your 100%. You're always going to show up 100% and show up imperfectly. And this is where you can get through those doubts, because the more you do, the more you will counteract those voices in your head. And if you're tired all the time, please don't listen to those voices in your head, because that is when they rear their heads and they really get really chatty and put you in really negative spots. And that is when you can go, okay, maybe I need a nap, maybe I need to go to bed, or maybe I need to go do something for me that isn't involving listening to these voices in my head, which I know aren't true.
Thank you for sharing that. And I'd love to know also one of your daily habits
What am I doing?
that you do that help you keep you centered. Besides not listening to those voices, do you have anything else that you do that helps you keep you centered as a leader?
Yeah, I actually tap into myself every day. And so there's 2 ways I do that. I use a technique which my coach taught me, which is Lifeline, which I actually connect in with my spirit, my body, and my mind. And I actually set an intention for the day. And if you're like, what is she talking about? The other way you can do it is just set a little prayer or intention, whatever word resonates for you: prayer, intention, meditate, whatever. I also will go up to God and say, if I'm really lost, I'll go up to God and say, hey, how can I serve today? And sometimes the message is to rest. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And it's funny how sometimes we need someone else to tell us it's okay to have a sleep. And that habit of checking in with myself and realigning myself each day and just bringing myself back to the present moment is such a powerful thing. And to do that when you wake up, like first thing when you wake up, before everything else gets in the way, before you have to go make meals for your children, before you have to go do your 100 things on your to-do list, allows you that little bit of space to connect with yourself and set an intention for yourself for the day and live into the values that you want to show up in the world and how you want to live in your life.
Thank you very much. And do you have any offers? We will be putting all your links below, but do you have any offers that you'd like to give for everyone who is watching it?
Always. So at the moment, I am offering a free 30-minute call. It's not a sales call. It's actually to see where you're stuck in your life and to give you that clarity and presence so that you can take the steps. And at the end of the call, you will have actionable steps, which then we'll arrange a check-in afterwards to see how you're actually applying those. It's definitely, if you're stuck in business, in your life, and you're just feeling really lost, this is when I want to be your little lighthouse in the moment of darkness so that you can find those ways back to yourself and take those steps that you need to get where you need to go. I also offer, if you check out and follow my Instagram, which is Willow Healing SH, I do oracle readings every Monday for the collective, but you can submit a little form and get a free oracle card reading, just a 1-card oracle reading about anything really. If you're just open, it's an open one, or you can do a specific one. And then on Mondays, Australian time, don't make me convert it, Sophia, I host Empowered Entrepreneurs on Sacred You, where we have beautiful women in business come together and we just share what's going on in our life and share things that have worked for us or haven't worked for us, and gets that intermittent coaching, but it's nice to have a community that you can connect with as well.
It definitely is, and thank you. And can I just say 2 things, that we are honoured that you are hosting the Empowered Entrepreneurs Tribe. So for anyone who is interested in that, do click on the links below. And as Catherine says, yes, we can all do things and struggle on our own, but it's so much powerful, it's so much more powerful when we have a community. And that's what the Empowered Entrepreneurs is really all about, a community of women who have got your back, because we all go through on this entrepreneur path similar things, and they've got wonderful experiences to share. So thank you. And also reach out to Catherine for that 30-minute call. Thoroughly recommend it. She is amazing and a gem. Thank you so much. And Kanika, for you, as we wrap up, I know you've just recently joined us, but do you have any last tips that you can offer for entrepreneurs? If there's someone who's just starting out there, what would be something that you would whisper? And then tell us what you're offering, and we will be putting all your links below too.
Thank you. And I think I can relate with everything that everybody else has shared around self-doubt, because that's the biggest thing, especially when you're starting out as a spiritual business owner. It can just feel like, gosh, what am I doing? There are a million things to do. You don't quite know what's working out and what to focus on. And a lot of times, your clients might not be coming to you quite in the way as you expected them to be. For me, my biggest learning at that time was stepping back, allowing myself to step back and just understanding that my business was a calling. When I say that, I mean, if you have a calling, that's literally coming from something far bigger than you. And the universe was bigger than you. So we all do our own healing modalities. And I tuned into my business and asked, what am I doing wrong? You guide me. Let's be on the team together. What is it that you want to take? Where do you want me to go? And that is when speaking started coming up for me, and I never could understand it. I actually hid behind the mic for a really long time as well. I thought I was doing what my business wanted. So I would see myself in my vision standing behind a mic, and I said, okay, that's what I've got to do. Maybe I've got to record meditations. And I did that. And then I checked in with my visions again, and they were like, nope, you're not doing the right thing. I'm like, what do you mean? I am. And it was more, I was not being visible. So there's something that your business is teaching you. If you have a calling, your calling already has the steps built in for you. It just sometimes takes you step by step as well. Like a little child, you don't tell them about 10th grade math problems that they've got to do. You meet them where they're at. They start with ABCs, even below that, or so on. But that's how your business, when you partner with it, that is how your business is going to work with you. Take your business as your partner, as your ally, because your business knows what it's doing. You might need to put some boundaries in between and say, I need to rest, or those things. But your business has its own business ideas. It has its own wheels, and you can climb on them rather than trying to drive yourself. And then my business went into, so as the idea expanded and I continued for myself speaking, that's how for me the Magnetic Visibility Summit came into picture. And I had no idea. I wasn't doing it. I don't know how big that would become or the collaborations that would come because of that. So it was literally leaning into my business and allowing my business to speak up for me and following that, taking the pressure off me too.
I love that. Thank you ever so much, because I really love it. Listening to your business, leaning into it, because it has the steps that you can take. Love that, what you're meant to be doing, and listening to that guidance that we all have within us. Just taking time, putting ourselves first and taking time. Thank you so much. And lastly, do you have anything that you would like to offer? So we will be putting your links below, but tell us a bit about your offer.
Yeah, so I have two things for the guests. First of all, I offer a 30-minute breakthrough call as well. And if there's some clarity that you need in your life around having more aligned clients, around more visibility, or just having more impact, meaning in your life, you're craving that and you want some clarity, you want some breakthrough there, then book some time with me. I would love to help you out and offer you that guidance so that you can take the next steps. That is at Art of Life Center, artoflifecenter.com/call. And you'll have the links there as well. And then I've got a Magnetic Visibility Summit as well, which is really welcoming all the leaders to come in and show up as themselves. We'll have 2 days where we work with other healers in real time, interactively, working through all the body blocks to have very authentic messages and work through that part of us, which sometimes might feel that sales is cringy. How do I do that?
Thank you. Sorry, Kanika, for interrupting you. We will be putting all those links below, but we are now over time, and I want to honor the time for all your amazing women for joining us. So for everyone out there who is watching, click on these links below and connect with these amazing women. Take advantage of their offerings, especially for people who have these calls, just these 30-minute calls. Do take advantage of them, because you never know where it's going to land. And this whole conversation has been wonderful. I really want to honor you all, that you Kanika, for joining us, even though it was you got here when you can, and for Leisa and for Claire, it's all your first time. Thank you ever so much for that. And our beautiful Catherine, who again is the host in Sacred You, one of our hosts. And the whole thing I get to empower our businesses, it's about empowering ourselves. Really, no matter how busy we are, it's putting ourselves first and allowing everything to come to us, allowing our businesses to grow, allowing our clients to come to us. But that won't happen until we put ourselves first. So thank you, and do click on the links below also to check out sacredyou.love. Come and join us for free. We have so much to offer in the village. We've got these panel discussions, we've got wisdom circles, archetype circles, so very much, but you will find all that